Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Will coming at you with another video, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who subscribed to the channel. This channel has come a really long way in a really short period of time. So just, huge thank you to everybody. And I want to go ahead and say that this video I'm doing today, it doesn't represent a break from the BMW DIYs and the BMW information and all of that. Still going to do that, but this is something I want to do, and that is to have an open discussion with fellow car enthusiasts about just relevant news in the automotive world. And so this isn't going to be like any kind of Matt Moran style news video where we cover every little news story once a week or whatever. So what I did is I picked like 5 stories that I thought were interesting, relevant, and all that stuff, so we could talk about them and have a discussion down in the comments below about everything. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into this and talk about some cars. Oh, and of course I will leave links to every article that I cite in the description below so that you guys can check them out for yourself and get a more informed perspective. So if you think I put like a bias on something, you can go ahead and get it for yourself, just so you know exactly where it's coming from. So the first story we have comes to us from the Sunday Times Driving, and it's about BMW. So we know that BMW has been in the news for recalls fairly recently, and they're at it again in England. It comes from us from the UK, so they have what the Britain's DVSA calls a potentially fatal fault. And what happens with these cars is that they are, the battery terminal and the power distribution pack can be contaminated and break contact, causing an electrical system failure, leaving the car with no lights or anything. And this has resulted in 1 death, where somebody was hit in the middle of the night because they had no lights and they weren't seen and they were hit. And BMW has known about this problem since at least 2011, where they fixed at least 5 cars under recall. So it doesn't look good for them. They also recalled about 500,000 cars in other countries for this same problem. So once again, it doesn't look good to them. In the article, somebody was cited as saying the recall decisions are made in Germany, not Britain. Anyway, moving on now to the next story. So we have Tesla Motors, or Motors, Tesla, whatever. They're in the news again now. Elon Musk has been one who doesn't, he says what he thinks. He doesn't mince words always. And on his most recent investor call, Car Throttle has cited, and many other places. I've seen articles from CNBC, but the article I'm citing is from Car Throttle. And, hey kitty, my cat's coming up to me. Kitty, go on kitty. So I want to give a full disclosure anyway. I'm not a big fan of Tesla. I don't like electric cars. Well, let me actually rephrase that. I don't have a problem with electric cars. If you want an electric car, that's your priority. I have a problem with governments trying to ban gas cars and force the electric car onto us. So now that we've got that out of the way, he was on a conference call doing a quarterly earnings report, which is something that all publicly traded companies do, where analysts and investors ask questions about the company. And they were asking Mr. Musk legitimate questions, and he responded with things like, hold on, I'm going to quote for you. Responded with, excuse me, next, boring bonehead questions are not cool. And things like, sorry, we're going to do YouTube. Sorry, these questions are so dry. They're killing me. What is this guy saying? I mean, he's the CEO of a big company, a major company that has a higher market value than Ford for whatever reason. This guy cannot go around saying things like that. Like, what is with this guy? And needless to say, Tesla stock was trading down on these comments. Go on, cat. Also in related news, coming from Autonews.com, CEO Elon Musk as well says he plans to begin production of the Model Y small SUV by 2020, and says it will be a manufacturing revolution. Ask him how that's worked out with the Model 3. A lot of their problems are stemming from the Model 3, where they're spending a ton of cash and not bringing very much in. I mean, guys, my honest opinion is that Tesla won't be around much longer. They don't do anything, like their technology isn't any better than, say, General Motors and electric cars. So once GM or whoever starts bringing electric cars full force to market, they'll probably crush Tesla like a fly. But if you disagree with me, let me know what you think in the comments below, and we can talk about it. Now to Ford. in case you've been living under a rock for the last week, you've probably heard that Ford is going to discontinue passenger car sales in the United States to solely focus on trucks, SUVs, and crossovers. Now, I've seen many articles where people have said that this is just stupid, they're setting themselves up for a repeat of 2009, but what these people really fail to understand is that Ford isn't discontinuing these vehicles. They'll still be sold in other markets, so if necessary, bringing them back to the United States probably wouldn't be very difficult for them. I've seen a few other articles saying that it's a really brilliant decision, you know, that the trends are going away from it. And yes, the trends are going away from it. Honda can't sell their award-winning Accord. It's an award-winning car. It's critically acclaimed. I haven't driven one. They look pretty nice. They've got good reviews. And for what they are, I'm sure they're quite nice, but they can't sell them. Toyota's having to stack the Camry with incentives to move it. So, you know, the market trends are going that way. But, you know, as far as discontinuing them entirely, it seems a bit extreme to me. But this article from the Wall Street Journal is called, what is it, the exact title? The Real Reason Ford is Phasing Out Its Sedans. And it looks more into the trend of like the ever-expanding car, and it even talks about the CAFE standards in the United States, and you know, how they incentivize a larger car because the larger the car is, the less fuel economy requirements it has to meet to be sold. So basically, they measure the size of a car by its wheelbase, so it's like the area between all four wheels. And the larger that is, the less fuel economy it has to get. And the smaller it is, the better fuel economy it has to get. So as an automotive enthusiast, there's a good reason to actually care about this, because a small high-power car is going to get worse fuel economy, so the emissions and all of that stuff basically incentivize against building these cars. So there is a market trend away from performance-oriented coupes and sedans and stuff, but there's also government incentives away from it as well to incentivize these manufacturers to build these large cars, which also happen to be their most profitable vehicles. And it even talks in the article that it says an all-wheel drive crossover vehicle, even one based on a car platform, is still classified as a light-duty truck for sale. So this kind of goes back, and they mention it in the article about how Ford in the 90s exploited the EPA standards by building the Explorer, selling it as a light truck, and beating fuel economy standards that way, and just flooding the market with Explorers. Alright, now moving on, we're going to talk about two articles actually on two different topics that both come from Motor One. The Mercedes-Maybach Ultimate Luxury concept was the big scene at the Beijing Motor Show, but the 2020 Mercedes S-Class looks to be a technological revolution, and there's really not much known about it, but they do say for the technological stuff to look to this Mercedes Maybach, so we can look at that for some of the technological stuff. We also have here, they say that it's going to have lots and lots of carbon fiber to keep the weight down. It's going to have cutting-edge adaptive headlights, which on the surface really doesn't sound like anything too exciting, but then it also goes on to say that it has 1 million micro mirrors that can adjust the brightness, and they will even have the ability to project road signs on the road in front of you. Although the article does go further to question whether this can meet United States regulations and things like that. So there is questions on that matter. But regulations can possibly be rewritten when technology advances and things need to be done. Sometimes it gets done, sometimes it doesn't. So the second article from Motor One is that Porsche is saying that the Panamera, the sedan, can possibly lend its platform, or this is speculation, they're not actually saying this is speculation, I guess, that they could build a successor to the 928. So I think this makes a whole lot of sense because Porsche does have that big hole in their lineup. I mean, they are a performance car brand, and they don't have a GT car in their lineup. They have the Panamera sedan, they have the Cayman mid-engine car, they have the 911 rear-engine car, they've got their SUVs, but I think that the GT car is like a glaring hole in their lineup, so I think that this makes a whole lot of sense. They also are saying that, and that car, it looks to be coming, they say 2019, but maybe look for it closer to 2020, who knows. And then also by this year, Porsche is going to be selling a Cayenne version, like a coupified Cayenne, so to compete with the X6 from BMW and the GLE Coupe from Mercedes. Now, I am not a fan of the coupe SUV. It has grown on me a little bit, but would I want one for myself? No. I think it just looks like a lifted sedan. But it's a market trend. I mean, BMW is doing their thing with it. Mercedes is doing their thing with it. Porsche wants to get in on the action. I'm sure we might find Audi coming in behind with it. Jaguar might do it too. I don't know. But it just seems that that's the way the market is going. Anyway, guys, that's all the news I've got for this week. If you saw anything in this video that piqued your interest, go ahead, drop a comment below. Let's talk about some cars. If I didn't cover something that you think I should have, drop it below. Just make sure it's like within the last week. I don't want to be talking about news from years and years ago. But this is something I really wanted to do. I really want to talk some news with you guys and just kind of see what everybody else out there in the world is thinking about cars and the current events and the latest and greatest stuff. So yeah, let me know if you liked it. Please leave it a big thumbs up if you did, and if you didn't, well, just don't do anything. Anyway, yeah, like it, comment below, subscribe if you're new. I want to do this like every week. Like I said, not a Matt Moran style, like where we cover everything, just a few stories that I think are interesting and that we can have a good discussion about. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching.